Imposter syndrome is this core belief that you just don't belong. And so what happens is you slip into people pleasing. If you're struggling right now with imposter syndrome, stick around because by the end of this video, we're going to uncover what exactly is going on and what you can be doing right now to solve that issue. Because the number one thing is that you are learning right now in this moment that it isn't necessarily knowing more that's going to get you to feel like you belong in any room you're in. It's actually owning what you currently have lived through in your life through storytelling, through embodying your own unique identity and story. That's what actually helps to eradicate feelings of imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is really the feeling that you don't belong. But the thing is we've learned that if you get more initials after your name, if there's more courses that you buy, books that you've read, if you get more expertise, that you're going to belong because then you can explain your way why you belong into a room. You can articulate the message clearer. If you can explain it and articulate why you belong in a room, well, then certainly everyone will just understand. But the problem is that it's performative. And your belonging in a room is then conditional. So I totally understand if that's you right now. I've been there. I was once medicated myself on beta blockers for a fear of public speaking, which was really a fear of not trusting myself, not feeling like I belonged. So many times I would walk into a room of people and I'd be immediately in my head thinking about who I needed to be liked, heck, to like myself. And really, it's not because you are a performative person. It's not because you're fake. And it's not because you're egotistical, like you want to win the room over. It's just a learned response, a conditioned behavior, because for a long time in your life, your self worth was actually given to you distortedly, but it was given to you because you performed some service. And the reward was love or attention, whatever made us feel safe in that moment. So now, as an adult, as a visionary, as a leader, what we have to do is untether this feeling of self worth from what we do in the world. Because at some point, you are going to come to the end of the rope of what you know. You only know so much about something. So we can't let our belongingness be tethered to knowledge, right? And at some point, you're going to come to the end of the rope of your usefulness. Like we only all have a certain amount of skill. At some point, you'll run out of that. So your self worth, your belongingness can't be tethered to usefulness. At some point, we'll run out of performance because we'll just be tired that day. There's no act we can put on. We're just exhausted, or we're nervous, or we're hungry, or we had a headache, and we're just not ourselves. So when that runs out, all that's left is you, your real, raw, authentic self. But if you've built up or continue to believe that who you are at the core isn't enough, like you don't belong just because you exist, then we're going to slip into and find ourselves at the grip of the identity of that we don't belong. And that's the feeling of imposter syndrome. It's a feeling that you don't belong in the room and that your belonging is conditional. So again, it's not your fault. It's just that we've learned it. In my world, imposter syndrome shows up when there's a gap between who you are becoming and what your nervous system feels is safe. When you do step into a room, a role, or identity that your body hasn't fully updated to, like for example, let's say you just got chosen to speak on a panel, you paid the $1,500, you're going to be on stage, and now you're at the cocktail event that's that Friday night before your event on Saturday, okay? And so you're rubbing elbows, you're mingling, and you're looking around the room, and you all of a sudden just compare yourself because that moment, your nervous system doesn't quite believe that it's safe to be in a room with other people who are the keynote. And maybe there's some celebrities there, and maybe there's some CEOs, and there's some bad bitches in the room, right? And suddenly your nervous system is like, who am I to be here? Have you experienced that before? I know I have. And what ends up happening in that moment is your body does what it knows best. It does what it knows how to do, which is protect you. And what that protection looks like, let me know in the comments if you've experienced this, is over preparing your talk, overthinking about that day. So you're like freaking yourself out before you even get into the room. While you're in the room, it looks like over explaining yourself, um, trying to know everything, trying to be everything to everyone, trying to be funny, trying to be sexy, trying to be intelligent. And it's not because you're arrogant at all. It's not because you're arrogant. No, it's because your belonging once depended on it. Your belonging once depended on it. You knowing everything, you over preparing, you self analyzing, you correcting yourself mid sentence based on the other person's facial expression. I get it. Oh, I get it. That's why I was medicated because I didn't want to feel all that pressure. And I want you to know that the reason I have been able to get rid of imposter syndrome altogether isn't because I decided to feel confident. That's not it. I got out of it by trying a lot of things, by listening to my body, by slowly discovering what I am here to own and carry in this life. What is mine, really? And the founding of Vocal Honey wasn't a random pivot. Finally, I've had a lot of random pivots before, but Vocal Honey was so intentional. It was truly the result of my lived experience finally coming through in an identity. And, I have tried many paths. And if you have, this is why many women who are multifaceted and multi-passionate do struggle the most, I think, with imposter syndrome, because it's like you've tried all these paths and society's like, oh, you're wishy-washy, you're a free spirit, you don't know what you're doing. But you're not scattered. That's not why imposter syndrome shows up at all. It's not because you're scattered, but because you haven't yet claimed which parts of you are true and essential. You haven't, as my client called it earlier today, trim the fat. So instead of it being I don't belong, the fear is a little bit deeper, which is if I choose one lane, everyone will stop liking me. If I choose one lane, I'll not be loved. I won't be accepted. I'll lose some approval. I'm going to lose some safety. I'm going to lose some identity. So earlier today, I got this really loving text from a client of mine who's coming to a stop on the tour. He's like, it's amazing to see somebody change courses as many times as you have and adjusted and being so successful with everything. I admire that so much. And of course, I didn't take any offense to that because it's true. I actually think that's my superpower. I think that's why I don't have imposter syndrome, is because I literally have tried and executed and built a business on any identity and every identity I ever wanted. And what that's allowed me to do is fine tune and hone into someone who knows exactly what she's here to do based on my life's experience. I'm not here to talk about all of these different things. I'm here to talk about your voice and your own internal leadership, your own internal empowerment, if you will, of your own voice. It's the one lane. And sure, we all are, at some point are going to struggle with, am I allowed to pick one thing? And there's a fear that comes up that I might lose other people's approval. People might not like me. My current clients might not come along with me. And quite honestly, the ones that are meant to stick around, the people that are meant to stick around in your life, they're going to applaud you. They're going to celebrate you. They're going to want you to change. Okay. So here's the reframe I really want you to know and take away from this is that imposter syndrome doesn't go away when you know more. It goes away when your body and nervous system finally have allowed your new identity to drop in. When your nervous system can then relax. Not when we're trying to belong to everyone, to belong everywhere. You're not supposed to belong in some rooms. You're supposed to actually choose where you want to belong. When you stop becoming a people pleaser, and again, it's not because you're a bad person, it's because we've learned that by showing up and performing, by being funny, by being cute, by being intelligent, by providing some external value, we belong. But really, the rooms that you're supposed to be in, there's no proving. You're going to feel so at home. Trust me. So I want to give you one takeaway on what you can start doing today that'll dramatically help you feel more empowered with who you are and the direction that you're heading to help you decipher what rooms you should be in, right? Because we don't need to be in the rooms we don't need to be in. So in order to know what rooms you should be in, what stages you should be on, what networking events you should be on, what kind of clients you should be attracting, what things you should be speaking on, we need to get clear in your story. And this is something I teach in the second month of the Vocal Honey 4-month group coaching program. Link is below to get on the wait list for the next round. I only open it up 3 times a year. I take you through what's called the heart method of storytelling. The hero method is out there, but it's very masculine based and it's for short duration, like high pitched sales calls or like a couple minutes on like a TED Talk stage. But most of the time, we are not on those stages. We're having real face to face, human to human moments. We're selling, we're being asked questions, and we want to show up with as much heart and soul as possible. Why? Because it feels good, not only for you, but for the potential client or your audience. The heart and soul must be brought back into the moment. It's what's going to connect you. It's what's going to help you relate, but it's also what's going to help you own your one lane that you're supposed to be in. And I'm not talking marketing. I'm not really talking the one lane, like find your avatar and niche down. I'm talking about what you have embodied. And actually, I'm going to drop the link below too. If you just want to buy, I have a quick downloadable masterclass that you can watch, and it's yours to keep forever as soon as you buy it. And it comes in the blueprint. So I'll also link the blueprint for you below where you could get not only that masterclass on how to do a hero story as well as the heart story, but how to also work through procrastination, confidence, and fear and all those things. So the blueprint link is below, or just come and do it live with me in the group coaching. But once you understand your story, you will feel very centered. It's like a huge permission slip getting written that, oh my God, I love this. One of my clients recently, they own a interior decorating company and event coordination company. After working with them a couple times one-on-one, they needed to get clear on their stories. They actually ended up selling a client in almost like 2 days later to their program because they told their story. They weren't trying to impress, in other words. It helps you relax in the moment and stop trying to gear up and perform your value. A story helps you own your lane. So if you don't know what story to tell, this is what I'm telling you. You've got to click below and get that blueprint and watch the video. Plus, the other ones will help you support it so you can use your voice and start to actually tell the beautiful story that you're going to learn how to write, because it's no good if you know the story and you don't say it. The one thing I want you to remember is that imposter syndrome is what happens when the nervous system is trying to belong to a room it doesn't belong in. It's what happens when your nervous system is trying to feel safe when it doesn't have an identity to anchor into. So the work is to anchor into your embodied identity, the one that you're really here to be, and to let all the other BS flow aside and to recognize that this is a trainable skill to reduce and completely eventually, promise me it will happen. It will happen. I know it will because it happened for me and all my clients. You will immediately dissolve imposter syndrome. I deeply hope this serves you, and maybe I'll see you inside the Blueprint or Vocal Honey group coaching.